kind of answer the additional questions from the state. So I started answering those. I was having some technical difficulties and it crashed out, and it's showing that I've submitted those answers, but I wasn't done. So I had to like write to some help desk thing to say that I wasn't done. So I'm just kind of like waiting to hear back. I don't know what those additional questions were because the state already pushed it through. So I'm not sure if they just sent it out to everybody for like additional questions like that they want to know, what people are up to. So I don't have a firm update, but unfortunately, we still have not been approved yet as Trees City USA for 2023.
Okay, well, I
So
mean,
it should, yeah, I think, I'm sure they're understaffed like everyone else. Um,
um, I guess Nicole, it sounds like all we can do is wait.
yep,
Yeah. It'd be nice. I think I mentioned you when we talked. It'd be nice if there was some way we could actually talk to a human being.
I know.
That's always an issue, I think. It just
It's
drives me nuts. It's getting worse too.
it's so bad. I've gone everywhere on the website trying to figure out who I can speak to. So I may just call Julie Coop at DCR, who was sort of the woman that met with us at first to kind of walk through the process. So maybe she can kind of help
You
us.
know, that's pretty good because Julie, I contacted her to get a speaker and she got our speaker. Nobody else would, but she did it. So
Yeah.
I think she's a
Yeah.
go-to person.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
do that this week.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I was impressed speaker because I emailed her about a speaker and nobody wanted to be a speaker. And then I got a response and she said, this guy's going to do it.
Yeah. So
So,
strange. Nobody wants to do anything, or there's
I know,
just
I know. Well,
such a
good.
weird world right now.
All right. So we simply have to wait then, right,
Yep.
Nicole? Okay. You're next again with the poster contest.
Yes. Yeah, so I feel like the poster contest was a pretty big success. The science teachers of fifth grade, there's three of them, just took it right over, just were so excited to do it. They were able to incorporate it into their curriculum. They did a little activity, talked to the students about trees and why they're important for our healthy towns. They, what else did they do? They talked about Arbor Day actually. So they basically kind of gave the students the whole background and then kind of let them loose on the poster contest. They were really good at making sure like everybody followed the rules, and there's some specific rules like you got to put your initial at the bottom of the page and things like that. So they did all of that. There's three science teams, and within the three teams, they kind of self-voted and selected their winners. So we basically have three posters that we now unfortunately need to pick one that we want to send along to the state. So we can do that today. Did you happen to get a chance to circulate those, Ray?
I did.
Okay, great, great. So I can flash them up on the screen. I don't really know how we want to do this, but ultimately we should come to just the conclusion as to which one we would like to submit. I personally think that these exceeded my expectations since these fifth graders are better artists than me, which is awesome. So let's start by figuring out who we want to send along to the state. And what I'm going to do is these need to be postmarked by March 15th. So when we pick the one, literally I'm gonna go down to the post office and get it sent right after this. I am first gonna make a photocopy, however, and we'll talk about that. Just so that we have it, perhaps we can help display it and so on. All right, so can I share my screen, Josh?
Just a second here.
Mhm.
Okay, you should be all set.
Okay. All right, I got a million things open. All right, so I labeled these. This one was entry 1. Each of the posters had to write healthy trees, healthy towns. All 3 did. And I mean, I think the criteria is pretty basic. It just needs to kind of demonstrate their understanding of why trees help make our towns more healthy and as a natural resource. So this was I numbered these entry 1, entry 2. Again, they said healthy trees, healthy towns, so they met that criteria. I'll make it a little bigger. And then the third entry, which I numbered, was this. Healthy trees, healthy towns. So again, either one of these would be amazing to send along. I wish we could send 3. We can only send 1. Does anyone want to discuss the criteria or anything? Yeah.
You want to take a vote, Nicole? Is that how
Yeah.
you're gonna
Yeah.
do it? Okay, because I like the order that you presented them in.
Okay. That was arbitrary, but yes. Okay,
Mhm.
so Pat likes entry 1.
Well, why don't one of you, okay, then Pat is making a motion to pick number 1, correct? Pat,
Correct.
okay. Somebody else?
I just wish that they could have distinguished between healthy and unhealthy towns.
Yeah.
I mean, I see number 1, it says healthy trees, and then there's nothing on that side, but under the healthy towns.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I'm
but
trying to
we're-
make the
Yeah.
comparison.
That's the
I
point,
was,
Shirley, but we're beyond that right now.
yeah, I
Yes,
was
it's
looking.
Great.
It's hard, it may be a little hard to see on the screen. I can see it a little better, because I literally like have it in my hand. What this student did was they drew kind of like a person doing, yoga. They have an apple drawn on one of the trees. They have kind of like a lemonade stand. They have somebody kind of looks like they might be painting their fence, kind of taking care of their property, having birds. They have a little habitat in this tree here. So I feel that there are some things embedded in here that if you really look close in terms of what we could perceive as healthy,
Mhm.
this second one, there's really just flowers, I don't see any people or even animals in this particular one. So that, and this one, they, again, no people, no animals, but they did seem to be kind of like, kind of thinking a little bit about air and water.
Yeah.
And roots and soil, as part of the
Mhm.
tree. So there was like, this one seemed to have, some science to it as well. So that's where I was leaning to the first or the third because of those principles.
Yeah, these are all really good. I think
Yeah.
the second one is visually, I mean, that
Yeah,
student has the idea of symmetry and
yep,
colored and everything really well. But I was with the first one, I was reminded of what our friend Vernon Domingo would say, the person who brought me into this committee in the first place. Every year we would get from National Geographic these buttons for Geography Awareness Week, and they would show these very simplified scene of like a tree and something else. And the first thing Vernon would do would be to draw a little stick figure of a human on it. Because it said we always need to have the human involved in this.
yes,
So that really struck me about the one that's on the screen now, is that this person really made an effort to do that. And
Yeah.
so I really in the third one though, that the like you said, the science and the poetry of that
yeah,
is just amazing. But I would lean toward number 1 for the human element, but this is really clever.
totally, yeah.
All these kids are going places.
I know,
Fifth
right?
grade.
I know.
Somebody else? Any other recommendation?
Well, I like number one because the tree is in the care of this girl.
Yep.
And it shows that people take care of trees. I think that that's an added part to this.
Good point. It's funny you say that, Bill. I didn't even notice that.
Plus there's habitat. Is that a raccoon or what?
Yeah, there's something in there.
It's a
Very good.
defect. The
I
hazardous
think it looks
tree.
like a cardinal or something. It's a little bird. Yeah, it's
Okay.
red. It's a red bird. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
or a red squirrel, I guess.
Okay, then to move this along.
Yeah, I think
Is there any objection to picking number one? Okay, then I
I agree.
assume that our decision is to pick number one then.
Yep.
Yes. And let's use all three locally, however we
Yes.
can. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
So it sounds
Very
like we're good with number one. I will be sending that along to the state. I'm gonna first make a photocopy. So as you say, James, we can display these locally.
and you, Nicole, assuming you're at the forum tonight,
Yes,
can you mention it and even get a picture of it and hold it up?
yes.
That
That was
would
a
be
great
great.
idea. And secondly, I was going to see, if you all agree, I wanted to make the suggestion that perhaps we see if these three can be displayed at town hall for about a month. And then be able to kind of give them back to the schools and the teachers for them to then kind of, they're already displaying everybody's in the school right now, but obviously it's missing these three winners.
Okay,
So if everyone agrees, and maybe Josh could check to see if maybe we could, if there's a good place in town hall that we could display these.
Josh, okay?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay,
I
Do we have names of the kids?
we
that,
do.
uh,
We
Okay.
do. So I just, love to buy random stuff off Amazon. So I bought some little certificates. For all three, I was going to fill out those on behalf of the tree committee, just to let them, basically say that they're all first place winners. And then for the one that we send, I was going to just say that they won the grand award and that it was sent to the state. And I bought like a little green ribbon to put on that. So I feel like when we give this back to them, we can give them this certificate that they can like bring home and show their parents and everything. If
Good
everyone
job.
is okay with that, I will bring
Uh,
those tonight too to show you what I was planning to do.
Great.
Right.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
all right.
great, Nicole. I
And
also,
how,
Josh,
how do they get notified that they are winners? How does that,
Yep, it says that the winners will be announced at some point in April, and I actually think they might reach out to the teacher because the winning report form that we have to send, which is like this. It
Mhm.
really only asks for like the teacher's name and the teacher's email and the school
Yeah.
email. So I think if we won or if they won, the school is gonna be notified. And I've been talking to these science teachers, so they would let me know if that's the case. And actually, the first prize winner wins some trees to be planted on their school, some art supplies, like all kinds of things. So that would be pretty cool.
when do you think that will happen,
I
Nicole?
think it says in April.
Oh, okay.
okay, but Nicole, just to clarify, the young woman that did this, will she be notified that we picked her?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
When, I just want to say, if we're talking about it tonight,
Hmm.
should be notified before.
Oh.
Somebody's gonna find out before the official notification.
That's a great idea. I will, I have all three science teachers, so, and the kids are probably still in school, so let me do that like right now so that maybe they could kind of let them know.
Okay, great.
Is there
Right.
a way that we can get some newspaper publicity on this? Could we send it to the enterprise and ask them to to maybe copy the pictures in and even interview the winners or whatever? Like to give the kids a little PR.
I would
and,
love that. And I also, given that Arbor Day is April 26th, my other suggestion would be that if we plan, we do need to plan to do a some sort of a recognition ceremony, but we could potentially ask these three to participate. Maybe they could help us plant the tree, or maybe we plant 3 trees, one for each of them.
Good idea.
Good deal, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we have a winner, and Nicole, you're going to You're doing everything, Nicole. You're going to notify the teachers.
Yeah.
You want to go get a tree and plant it too, Nicole, while you're at it?
I will, I will, I will. I
Um,
can do it all somehow.
all right, okay, but it's important though, tonight you will talk about the fact that we did pick a winner and your show
Yes.
picture. Okay, great.
Yes,
Okay, good. And if you need help, by all means, email us on anything, whether for anything, okay? Don't
Yep,
try
sounds
to.
good.
so.
Yep.
Okay, and now Paul's on, good.
Can you hear me, Ray?
I can hear Paul.
Yeah, I can't get my camera to work. I'm still trying to figure it out.
I can hear you. Where you can hear you, fine.
Okay.
I put the Forestry Department bucket truck on every agenda, Paul, just to remind everybody that we're still pushing for the Forestry Department. I assume, is there any update at all?
We haven't really touched upon it. Coming out of winter with spring upon us.
Yeah.
And foresee some conversations starting up again.
I think, I think all we can do is in some form continue to lobby that Michael knows we're still here. And if you want to, as a group, vote some form of statement, we could send it to Michael again, saying that we're still interested in the Forestry Department and that we're open to any help that you may need, I just don't want to let it go. And then and come August, find out that it's too late to put it in the budget. He's got to try to get it in the budget this year, or we have to wait another year. So any suggestions? Anybody, Paul, anybody?
So I don't know that it'll make capital for this year. I can still try and talk again with them. I'll make it a point to get up there in the next week and try to have, or the next few weeks, I should say, and have an update for our next meeting.
Okay, all right. If you need help, you want another body or something, by all means, ask.
Yeah, certainly. It won't be a big deal. I can just pop in and grab them for a minute, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
See if
I
I can
just,
grab it.
I'm just thinking to myself, I did a senior class yesterday on the 1960s. And I was just thinking of how Lyndon Johnson got things done. I mean, he was in some ways not a very nice person, but he
Right.
knew how to maneuver people and to get things done. I mean, just his discussions with George Wallace in terms of getting the marchers to be peaceful and so forth. It's absolutely amazing, the guy. Anyway, okay. Forestry tree mitigation, Nicole, Shirley, we talking about it this time or no? We're gonna,
No, there are two things that I think we need more time to develop.
It's
Nicole
okay.
has been pretty busy with what she's been doing, and I really appreciate that and thank her for it. But it's taken up time, and so I would like to say that we set aside some time to do both the tree mitigation and also the tree ordinance. But we need some planning time before we take it up into a meeting.
okay.
at
What do
least for
you
the
mean by
mitigation.
planning time? What do you mean by planning time, Shirley?
Nicole and I need to get together,
Oh, okay.
and any input we can get from anybody else.
Well, why don't we do this? Either one of you, Nicole or Shirley, you let me know when you want to put it on the agenda, when you feel you're ready to talk about it, and I will.
Okay,
If not,
makes
I'll just
sense.
leave it off the agenda, okay?
that's
Okay.
fine with me. Nicole, is that okay with you?
Yes,
Okay.
Good.
yes, thank you.
I forgot.
May I ask,
This is
before
Arbor
you
Day.
go on, Ray, may I ask
Yeah.
a question on the Arbor Day tree planting?
I just forgot it.
Are we going to purchase one or three trees? And
I was just gonna say, let's go back to it. I skipped over it since Paul.
Okay.
We had talked about planting another tree or trees on Arbor Day, but haven't decided what to plant and where to plant at this point. And I'm open to suggestions on this. Yep. Nicole?
When I went to the Williams School, which is where these fifth graders participated, in the island, right in their parking
that's right.
lot, There's a big tree that must have come down and there's still a stump, however. So if we were to replace that tree, there would first need to be a fairly large stump removal. Paul, I don't know about that. And then I also noted that they have some nice trees sort of along South Street and, but definitely room for more. So there could be another one there. And just around the corner from walking distance from the school in the little playground on Cottage Street, there's also a tree that you can tell has been recently taken down. So that would be another stump removal and replacement. So, you know, before I thought if we do plant 3 trees, one for each of the students, that one could replace the one in the island. One could kind of go out front in the, you know, where there's some room and kind of an open grove of trees, and another could replace the Cottage Street tree. All of those, the students, if the teacher and principal allowed them to participate during school hours, we could walk through the Legion Fields to get to all of them.
All right.
Yep. So that was
now-
my thought.
Yeah,
And obviously there's some prep work with the stump removals.
well, okay, first of all, I apologize. I think last time I said I would check with the school principal, which I did not.
No, I think I told you I would message you when I go out there, and of course I
Okay.
didn't have time, and I
All
just,
right.
when I went to pick up the posters, I quickly looked around. So,
Paul, what about stump removal?
Yeah, we can help with that. We typically have them ground, but if a new tree is going there, grinding. I don't know that we'd get it deep enough. What do you think, Bill? I don't think so. I think you're better off removing the stump.
Yeah, if it's a big stump, it's gotta be ground down to at least 12 inches before at the point where the stump starts to break into small roots. I think it'd be better to excavate it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. When we grind, you know, grass is fine, but to plant another tree, it just doesn't seem to work. We should be able to excavate it.
All right, we're talking April 26th, so we have to move on this. First of all, assuming we get the stumps cleared, it sounds like we'll be able to do that. Excuse me, this damn phone. And first of all, where are we gonna get the trees? Shirley, you had already mentioned the place you think we should get. Are we limited as to where we can get a tree? First of all,
I don't think so.
okay, then we have to decide, can we decide on the species now, or do we want should we put off on that? Anybody?
I'm sharing my screen,
Yeah.
just Paul, so you can see the, you know, the stump basically. So this was what I was suggesting, that in this island, obviously this one's come down. I think the stump in the playground's even bigger, and then there's plenty of room out here, you know, maybe that we could plant a tree. Maybe whatever species this tree is, we could do the same here in the island. They could be partners if Bill, is that appropriate?
That looks like a cherry tree
Okay.
in the photograph.
Mhm.
But it's hard to be sure.
Okay. I think you might be right, because it's very pretty, you know, all the blooming cherry trees in the early spring here.
It should probably be matched with a similar tree
Mhm.
in that island. So you don't want to overpower it with a big maple or something.
Okay.
Okay, what about the other spot? Nicole?
There's, yeah, I think similar, there's very big trees out here, so, but maybe we could do another small cherry tree or something of that effect out here in this open space. I didn't take a picture of the Cottage Street playground.
So,
That could be anything, because there's no other tree in the playground. That was the only tree, and it's obviously been it looks like it's been recently taken down or fell down and was cleanly trimmed.
okay, so first of all, let's try to settle this now. We talking about, how many trees we talking about, 2 or 3?
3.
Right.
3,
Three.
okay. Are we talking, and you're saying, Bill, you're saying the one out front should be a cherry, correct?
If this one is a cherry, yes, I think so.
Okay, and the other 2, it doesn't matter, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Then we have to first get permission. And Nicole, I don't know how you want to do it. If you want, I'll go to principal and talk to him about putting the trees in. And if that be the case, if we can do it simply by the principal giving us the okay, and I'm not sure we can, then
Right.
we get the trees.
I assume this is town property. I mean, if this tree were to come down, who would,
No, I assume it is
Yeah,
town property. It's
yeah.
just that whether he has the authority to make that,
yeah, I see
that's
what you
all.
mean.
yeah.
As
So,
I mentioned, it might be that facilities manager.
true. We're actually kind of short on time now in doing this. I mean, if we should make, the next meeting is just before Arbor Day. We want to get these trees by Arbor Day.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, I'll go to the principal. And maybe we can make a final decision online. I realize it's not quite right, but I will go to the principals, see whether we can put the trees in. Then Bill, whoever else decide which trees to purchase. And then Shirley and whoever can, if you want to deal with a nursery, Shirley, I know you like the one in Middleborough, whatever. We could check on the trees. Then we have to get the stump cleared and be able to plant on Arbor Day. We have time, but I think we have to make decisions from now, though. Is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
Okay,
That all
so-
sounds good. I think the principal either can approve it or will know who can approve it.
Right, yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
a short path, I think.
All right, I will go tomorrow and check with the principal, and then we will make decisions online. I'll email you, we'll BCC you, and we'll make the final decision so we can get these trees in place for April 26th. Is that okay?
Good.
All right, good. Pamphlets, well, that's Josh, I know Josh, I don't know if you want to tell people we're all set on that, but Josh did get the pamphlets printed. I have them. I've got 200 pamphlets. We're all set to go in them. Forum tonight, I hope you all will be there. Let me just go over things quickly. Forum starts at 6:30. I'll be there 5:45 or whatever. We have two presenters. One from the college, Ron Akbar, and the other gentleman from the DCR, who was the director got for me, and I think he's going to be very good. Both will do PowerPoint presentations, one on the importance of trees and the environment, and the other on care and planting and trees in this area. The idea is that I'll introduce everything, give background to how the tree committee came about. I'll introduce all of you in terms of, your importance to the committee. Shirley will touch on the importance of street trees, the fact that there are street trees and they're not private property. We'll go into the presentation. Both will speak 10 to 15 minutes, PowerPoint. I think, as I said before, I think they'll both be good. They seem willing and able. It's interesting enough, we allocated $100 for each of them. Ryan from DCR won't accept the money. He thinks we should use it to plant a tree, which is interesting. It was nice. At the end, we will have questions. I think we'll have a lot of questions. Jeff Fowler is hopefully going to be back tonight from New Jersey, from taping there. He will tape the program. My son will help him. He seems to think that he can rig it up so my nephew will be on Zoom, will be able to hear what's going on. He will not present, but if it technology-wise it works out, Mark, my nephew, will be able to answer questions also, but throw in his opinion as things. And we're talking an hour and 15 minutes at the most. Jed at the library, the director, is going to set everything up. He seems that everything should be fine. I have a feeling, I know I screwed up in terms of the date here, but the town council meets tonight. But I think that we're going to have quite a few people. I really do. And that's basically it. There's not much else, I think, whatever it said, has been set in motion, so there's not much else we could change right now. Any comments from anybody? I think it's gonna be good. I do. I hope it is anyway. And I'm glad it's in person. I just like in-person things. We'll see. I did email you though. I was a bit taken aback in the difficulty of getting people to come. It's amazing the number of organizations I contacted and like nobody. Anyway. Okay. That's it then. The last thing is the tree ordinance, which we've talked about. And I know some of you want to go over it again. So I'm open to bringing it back to the forefront. And if you want to go over specific parts of it, by all means, let's do it. Okay. Sure.
Ray,
Yep.
before we get there, I think you skipped over the tree pamphlets.
No, I didn't. They're all done. Josh had them printed. I have them. I have the pamphlets. They're all
You
done.
have them.
Yeah, we're gonna pass them out tonight.
Are they going to be passed out tonight?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. They're done. Josh is very efficient. I'm gonna ask him sometime to do something he can't do.
Oh, no.
See whether he tries.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
We talked about getting permission for the school trees. Do we need a separate permission for the Cottage Street tree?
Notice the silence, Pat. You asked
What
it
was the Flag Street?
that
tree?
nobody wanted to hear. I don't know. That's a good question.
That's
Mm,
a
You know
town
what he-
playground.
pardon?
The Cottage Street little playground.
Yeah. Mhm.
We'll just run it by Jim Small, the recreation superintendent. I think that's all we need.
Again, that's a stump. There's a big stump there. Paul, maybe next time you drive by, go maybe take a look.
Yeah, that one, I mean, that tree could be shifted over a little bit. There's some room there.
True.
So we probably could just grind that one.
Yeah.
Shirley?
The BIA has some Herbie trees that they're planning on planting. And so perhaps the ones that you're referring to now would be something that the BIA would consider putting one of the Herbie trees on.
Herbie trees are large ones, aren't they, Shirley?
Yes, they are.
Would they fit where we're talking about?
Where again are you talking?
The
Where?
Cottage Street playground?
Probably in front of the school. But I don't know if it'd be appropriate for the playground.
I
There's an
know,
awful lot of shade in that playground.
Not anymore.
I'm
Not
sure-
anymore.
Can you
After
kind
that.
of- What's that?
Yeah, I don't think there's I think the playground needs shade now because that big tree that came down really was the shade in there.
The concern I have is whether we can get a tree with enough sun for it to grow in there.
well, Shirley, why don't you check with Marilee when we're getting the trees and see whether she has places for the trees already? And we can
Well-
make a decision as to whether the Herbie tree should go there, okay?
We sort of do.
that-
Pat and I did a run around town and tried to identify some spots where it could go. And the BIA has a meeting coming up in a couple of weeks where they will address this concern, I hope.
Okay,
So perhaps at the next meeting, we'll have more information.
all right.
They don't know that the trees will be here before Arbor Day, do they?
No, I don't think they know. In fact, I'm not sure they're going to be here even this year. They may be
Mhm.
next year.
Maybe we should just skip to our own 3 trees for this and let the Herbie trees settle.
Right.
No.
Mhm.
Good point, Bill.
Yep.
Okay, so again, regarding tree planting, what we're doing is I will check with the school about the planting. We're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, Nicole, we're talking about the space out front by the playground and Cottage Street, is that what you said? Okay. I'll see what
Yes.
he says. And we will make a decision online before the next meeting. And hopefully, before the next meeting, we will pick 3 trees, we'll have the sites in place. And Shirley or somebody will be able to order them from a particular nursery. Okay? All right. Back to the tree ordinance. We have a tree ordinance, we've talked about it a number of times. I think there's some discussion, that there's more discussion needed on this. I know Shirley, you brought up some points, Pat, you have also. We don't have to get this done today or the next time. But we want to do it right, but I want to move this along though, too. We've been talking about this for quite a while. Shirley?
First of all, I'd like to thank Josh for his work on the updated tree ordinance and ask him if in the future he can number the pages so that when we talk about them, we can talk about them by page number.
Yep.
Second of all, I think that there is still a lot of information out there that we might want to look at and see where it is best placed, whether it comes under the tree ordinance, whether it should be referred to in the tree ordinance and told where one can go to get detailed information. One of the things that I'm concerned about is the information about the tree warden, which puts a demand on or outlines a position that we really have not filled since I've been here in Bridgewater to the degree that it is outlined. The general laws of the state tell about what the tree warden should be doing. And we have information in our ordinance now and in other places that talks about the tree warden, but an active tree warden in the town of Bridgewater has been hard to come by. And all consideration to Bill, who has sort of volunteered to do things that he's never been recognized for, never been paid for. In fact, the one remuneration that the town has ever given to the tree warden was some of their health insurance and things of that sort, and they took that away. So the tree warden in this town is sorely underpaid, underrecognized, and underutilized. And we need to
But
do
Shirley,
something.
let me stop you. What are you suggesting?
Well, a tree ordinance takes a good part, the tree warden consumes a good part of our tree ordinance
Right,
as it currently stands.
right.
It doesn't exist per se as it is applied.
But it seems to me you want to do that. Because then it forces the town to have a tree warden that's paid.
Exactly, exactly.
I think we do want it there, but I think we need to consider, its placement in the tree ordinance. And there are the things that are missing. There are gaps.
Well, wait a
in the
minute,
ordinance
let's
as
deal
it
with the
stands
tree
now.
warden first. Let's get this out of the way first. What you're suggesting that the tree warden position in the tree ordinance shouldn't be there?
No,
No,
What are you
not at all.
What are you
I'm
suggesting?
suggesting that what we really need is a
Yes.
sit-down, face-to-face meeting of this committee we deal with nothing but the tree ordinance. And we bring together all the information that currently exists in this town governing trees, whether it be in the Conservation Commission, whether it be in the Planning Board, whether it be in the Zoning Board of Appeals, wherever it might be. We need to know what it currently exists and where you can find information about it. We need to put that also in our ordinance.
No.
Somebody moving into the town of Bridgewater who has a question about trees is going to be hard put to find an answer to it. We
Shirley,
should be the answer. The tree
Shirley.
ordinance should be the answer.
I understand what you're saying is, and I think it's a positive point, but that's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. If it's going to happen, it's not in our lifetime. We have separate documents regarding trees in this town, and they're not going to be compiled into one document. It's not going to happen. To talk about it, I think it's irrelevant right now. The tree ordinance is separate from the planning board's the trees regarding subdivision control. It's separate from the zoning law. They're not together, and they're not going to be. You convince the town council to do that, that would be amazing. I think we're dealing with a document that we had before that we're talking about revising. We're not talking about trying to bring in the zoning and subdivision control law into one document. I think that's a waste of our time, to be perfectly honest with you.
I'm not
So-
sure I understand this, and I certainly don't want to have a turf war over this. I don't believe that that's needed. And I believe that we can deal with everybody's need to protect whatever rules and regulations they already have. What we need is some kind of a directory that will allow people to know where to go to get answers, where to
Well,
go to find answers to their questions.
That's fine. I don't disagree, Shirley. All I'm saying is that's not in this document. You can have a separate directory that can
It
be
could
done.
be in the document without duplicating the information. We could simply say, for information regarding go to
Oh,
the planning board.
So,
That's all, just a reference point.
so I think a parallel situation here is like the Environmental Protection Agency has regulations of various kinds that stipulate what can and can't happen. Then they also have what's called guidance documents that are based on those regulations, made a little bit more readable. And I'm sure in some cases point you to other agencies, because
Sure.
EPA does not control all environmental federal rules. They control most of them, but the Army controls some, and various groups do. So I think we're in a parallel situation where the tree committee can perform a service of guidance for residents, which might I would welcome a sit-down meeting if we have one. I'll bring really good coffee. Well, you can't see it. I'll bring really good coffee.
Right.
If we have such a meeting, I think in person I think there's a limit to what we can do in 2 dimensions. And the kind of thing that you're talking about, I think is beyond what we need to do for the ordinance, but very important and something that would really elevate our
And
profile.
a logical place for information, not definition per se, but information, or certainly not enforcement, but for information is the tree committee. If somebody moves into this town and they have questions about the trees that are planted in front of their yard, next to the sidewalk or next to the street, where do they go to get information about it? They don't even know that those are, quote, town trees,
that's true.
called street trees. And so if they wanted to cut them down, as we've had examples of, they just go ahead and do it. We've got to find direction to help people, guide people to get the answers they need.
Right, right.
Pat?
When I Googled town warden for Bridgewater today, it went to the DPW, of course. And I called so that I would be able to understand how we get in touch with the tree warden if we had a question about ordinances. And of course, nobody answered and no one has called me back. So I don't know the resolution to that.
If I may, I think you're both making a valid point, and I don't disagree. I mean, there are a number of things besides trees that if you wanted to find out things in this town, you can't find it. I have trouble every time I go on the town website finding what I want, including the plain old document. You can't even type in document in the search and find what you want. There are only 2 documents listed there, but there's actually at least 3. I mean, the town website stinks, and we all know that. All I'm saying is, I'm not sure a finder for the laws regarding trees should be in this tree ordinance. It could be separate, but the tree ordinance is not necessarily a guide to where you find other documents regarding trees.
Not talk, well,
That's all.
What is this replacing, Ray? The
Pardon me?
ordinance in our zoning regulations?
I'm sorry.
What is this replacing? What is our new ordinance replacing?
Oh, the tree ordinance replaced the old one. It's in the town regs.
The town's zoning bylaws?
If you look on the town website, there are 2 documents. Under documents, there are 2 things. One is zoning, and the other is, it says town. I forgot the term it used. Town something, and it's simply how communities are supposed to be organized and so forth. It's in there.
Code.
It's in there.
Right. Well,
Okay.
I wanted to just look at it so I'd know what we were replacing. I've never been clear on that.
I think there's a big mystery and it wouldn't hurt us to sit down and address it. That's all I'm suggesting.
So you want a face-to-face meeting to do what?
To gather all the information in this town dealing with trees. Just
Surely.
to know where it is, to know what it is. I'm not saying do anything, just know, so that we know. If anybody were to ask the tree committee where they could find such and such, we would be able to give them an answer. I mean, I think a logical place to go to ask questions would be to the tree committee. And I think we would all be sitting there saying, duh, I don't know.
And how do we get in touch with the tree warden if we do want to address something?
Well, he should have his own phone number, I would think.
Where is that, Bill?
Yeah. You
No
know,
one knows.
Well,
Great.
again, you're bringing up valid points.
to be honest, these
Now,
are, and I,
wait a minute, you're bringing up valid points, but in my mind, has nothing to do with this tree ordinance. Absolutely nothing. The tree ordinance is one of the documents, if you're talking about where to find things, that's an important point. And I'm not disagreeing that there should be something about that. But the tree ordinance, zoning, and the planning board's rules and regs regarding trees are separate documents. You
Right.
cannot compile them into one document. That's not gonna happen. But we're
Don't
dealing with
understand
one
it.
document right now. That's
I
all.
don't understand what you're saying there, because our tree ordinance is supposed to include information about penalties. That would be mitigation. We're trying to do something about mitigation.
Surely penalties and mitigation are entirely two different things. It's not the same thing.
Say it again?
Penalties and mitigation are not the same thing. These are penalties regarding street trees in the tree ordinance. Mitigation is a separate issue regarding the cutting of trees. It has nothing to do with this.
Isn't that one of the penalties that we would impose if somebody cut down a town tree?
A penalty is a fine for cutting a tree down.
Yeah.
Mitigation is a gift to the town, or whatever you want to call it, for cutting trees down. If somebody cuts a tree down, a street tree, and the town fines them according to our present tree ordinance, that is not mitigation. Mitigation is when the developer comes in and says, I'm gonna cut 3 acres of trees down, and the town says, okay, you're gonna do that, we want you to gift the town $45,000. That's mitigation, that's not a penalty. It's simply a gift to the town for the fact that we want to plant more trees, but that they're cutting down. It's not a penalty at all. Two different things.
So we don't have any penalties attached to people who cut down town trees?
Surely it's in the old tree ordinance right now. There are penalties. It's there. It's been there for years.
and we'll continue to have the penalties, but again, the tree ordinance is only jurisdictional over town-owned trees.
Right.
Therefore, that is only covering the penalties associated with town-owned trees. If we wanted, if we wanted to extend its purview to private-owned trees, then it would that would be an entirely different animal.
The trees that were cut down to put in that warehouse on Route 28 and 18, were they town-owned trees?
No.
That's-
That's
That was
mitigation.
covered by the planning, by the
That was
zoning. and-
mitigation.
Mhm.
That's nothing to do with the ordinance.
But they did pay a penalty, and they paid
No.
it to who, the planning board?
No, it's not a penalty, Shirley. It was
That's
not a penalty.
mitigation.
A gift.
Whatever you want to call it, but it's not a penalty. They didn't have to cut them, they didn't have to pay anything. The new zoning, which was put in a year and a half ago, which I was involved in doing, does have a line about the town can require mitigation for the cutting of trees. Mitigation is not a penalty. The town, a developer can come in and says, I don't want to pay it, or I don't want to pay that much. Okay. We need, wait a minute, I want to move this along. I don't,
If
how
we
do
don't
you want to
them
move, wait a minute. How do you want to move on? Do you want to have a separate meeting in person to go over this, or do you want, I just don't see, we've gone this far. I just think we should either approve this, change it, or throw it out. You know, Josh and Bill put a lot of work into this document, and I'd like to move it along one way or the other. I don't want to stop it. So one of you make a motion, how do you want to proceed? But I feel strongly that I don't want to widen the discussion beyond this document. If you want to at some point say, okay, we need to have the town put something on the website or someplace about where they find material on trees, so be it, I agree. But this is a separate document. It's simply upgrading the document we already have. That's all that we're doing here.
Well, to Shirley's point, if someone moves into town and wants to find an answer to a question about trees, sure, they could try to research through the town website, but actually they should simply be able to contact the town tree warden, and he should be able to know exactly what answers they're looking for. And I think that by keeping the tree warden so present in this document, sort of puts the town, the St. Michael's feet to the fire about doing something about the tree warden, or the lack of the tree warden. I'm only dealing with National Grid periodically now about taking trees down, and
no.
I continually refer that to Paul DeCosta.
Would the tree warden be under the forestry department that we're trying to get?
I would assume
Would be
so.
associated with it. I don't know that it would be authority wise under it.
I mean,
That would be up to Michael at some point.
Is there a tab on the town website for the tree warden or no?
No.
no,
Because other than that, most people are gonna go to Public Works. They assume it's a Public Works thing because normally there'd be a forestry department within the Public Works.
right.
And most calls, I would assume, are gonna come to my office or the DPW main office.
Somebody else? I'm sorry, but I just think we're talking about something that's beyond this document. Tree warden is important. And I think Bill's point about this, by putting the tree warden in the language that we have it in this document, will put pressure on Michael and the town council to set up a tree warden, to fund a tree warden.
Well, I agree with that, Ray, because as I mentioned in the beginning of the meeting, the Arbor Day, the state of Massachusetts had those additional questions for us. And the questions were precisely around that, like how does your tree ordinance enforce, you know, trees and, you know, the removal of trees in public space. Unfortunately, we have the provisions for it. There is just no mechanism for, you know, enforcing
right.
those fines, collecting those fines. We've got the right language in there, and we, you know, will continue to do so by kind of referring to this tree warden, but the fact that we don't have a tree warden, you know, or anyone that can actually do the enforcement in terms of what we're trying to say, you know,
Right, or if
it's a
we,
problem. Yeah,
if I wanted to get a permit to take down
right.
a town tree, I would try to track Bill down, I guess.
Okay. Look, let's,
Yeah.
we're going, in my opinion anyway, we're going all over the place. What do you want to do with this document?
I make a motion that we have a meeting, a sit-down meeting of this committee to deal with this issue,
What issue?
to deal with the tree ordinance that we have in front of us that Josh gracefully did, and I just printed it out. It's called Draft 1 Tree Ordinance.
Right,
And
we've been talking about this for 3 months. Now you want to go over it sentence by sentence again?
Well, there are a lot of corrections that will be done, but maybe they'll be done by the town attorney later on.
Well, no, the town attorney is just gonna see whether it's legal, and we have to decide what we want in there. Surely you wanna make a motion to that effect?
I just did that we have a meeting of the committee at a sit-down location, and we deal with the tree ordinance as we have it before us.
Well, just one comment. I mean, legally, we can't do that. We're supposed to have Zoom meetings. That's why we're talking right now. And I'm not sure what, I mean, we could try, of course, but I mean, why can't we've been talking about it already. Why can't we continue talking about it now?
Well, for one thing, you gave me, Ray, a stack of papers that included all of the information that you know of that is dealing with trees. And so there's a lot of information that's out there dealing with trees that we don't all know about. And
Well,
some of it
no.
might not even be in existence anymore.
Shirley, no. When we talked, what I gave you is the various laws regarding trees and among various different documents. They're not all in here and they never will be. The subdivision control law will never be in the tree ordinance.
The what?
The subdivision control law regarding trees will
Yeah.
never be in the tree ordinance. There's no sense
Right.
in bringing that up. We
Okay.
have one document. And
I
this
just
is
want to know where it is and how I can put my hands on it.
has nothing to do with the tree ordinance, Shirley.
But that doesn't matter. I've got a question about trees. It's not in our tree
I
ordinance.
understand that. and
Where do I
said-
go to get an answer?
I understand that, and I said that should be something that should be done, but it's nothing to do with what we're talking about right
Can
now.
we have a meeting to deal with that particular issue?
It's up to the board, but what I'd like to do is move this along.
I'm gonna interrupt. I'm kind of going in circles and our meeting is scheduled from 2 to 3 and
I
I
understand.
have another commitment, so.
Okay, Paul,
you know.
I understand. You're right. Let's settle this once and for all.
And Ray, if it would be helpful, and the committee wanted to have a discussion on like documents and things that are listed on the website, I can assist with that. And the various ways we can make references to like DPW, things like that. But yeah, I think with as far as the ordinance goes, from my research from surrounding towns, they don't make any type of references to like planning board or anything like that. It's specifically regarding the trees.
And I think we should stop this. If you want a document telling where everything is, that's fine. All I'm saying is I'd be against putting it in this document. This is a separate document that should be dealt with by itself. Nothing else should be in here. And I think Josh and Bill have done a great job of putting it together. We could revise it. My recommendation is just going too long, we have the form tonight, is to put it back, just a recommendation, put it back on the agenda at the next meeting and finalize this document. It has nothing to do with subdivision control law. And if you want to bring up to try to come up with another document that we can put on the website, which will let people find out where all things are regarding trees, that's fine. I'm all for it, but not this document.
And we are by law required to do a Zoom meeting, is that right?
Yes,
Yep, currently we're Zoom only right now.
So all town committees are meeting on Zoom.
yes.
Yep.
So my suggestion is that you have, Josh sent out the document again, what the prototype that he and Bill have put together. It's been revised a few times. My nephew looked at it. He just made a couple simple changes. I would suggest all of you look at it, go over it for the next meeting. You'll go through it line by line if necessary. Is that fair?
And then Ray, like I was saying, if you'd like on the next agenda to separate them out, I can have the discussion for the ordinance and the discussion for items on the website.
Sure.
To-
that'd be good. Yeah,
Please do that.
yeah.
Good.
Yep, and then like I said, I can assist with getting, I can make changes to the tree committee's website, and then I can work with DPW to make cross references, planning board, all that. So we can discuss
You
it and
have
work on
Power
it.
to change the website? Josh?
I have some of the power, not all of it.
Boy, you're a good person to know, all right. Yeah,
I'd like to just make a motion that we would be working really towards almost like a guidance document, not an, the ordinance, I fully support the direction it's going. It sounds like there's just a few tweaks. That is intended to protect and regulate publicly owned trees. But I think what we need and what's confusing is how the tree committee is recommending we handle all trees.
Right.
Some things, pertaining to development and such are covered under different regulations. So there would be like different chapters. And I think that that's ultimately what we could start working towards.
Right.
Or, a compilation of all of these things, like
All right,
Josh is
let me,
saying. a
let me
list,
ask
yeah.
you something then for the next meeting. I assume you've gone through this. Are there some of you that would require extensive changes to this document? If not, then I think we can do two things at the same time, which Nicole has pointed out. My feeling is this can be approved fairly quickly. If some of you feel that we need to go through this line by line again, then we'll set the time aside for it.
I have, in going through it, I found that there are some things that we need to change or to come to agreement on. For instance, we have several mentions of tree committee, tree commission, tree board.
Right.
We need to decide what is this that we're in this document.
We
And
have to be consistent, right?
so we have consistency as to what the names are. That's
Yeah.
one thing. I think there are some other clarities that need to that we need to look at. For instance, on preservation of significant trees, 6.6, the sentence reads, in order to grant permission to remove a significant tree, the tree warden, in consultation with the tree warden.
That's
So
right.
the correction there that we need to make.
All right,
So
okay,
those kinds
Agreed.
of things, I think we're not going to approve this until we straighten those out.
agreed. And those are, on the surface, they seem to be minor points that we have to just clarify the language. So what we'll do is set aside much of the next meeting simply for this document, okay? And at the following meeting, we'll talk about another document to guide people where they can find information on trees. Let's try to get this out of the way at the next meeting. So if all of you can go through it, number of times, write down what you feel needs to be changed. If you have questions on something, I don't know if you want to bother Josh. And so that we can try to finalize this in the April meeting, okay? So
Yeah, and definitely bother me with the changes, and then I can put them up on the screen when we're discussing it. That way you don't have to say them from memory or anything.
Great.
all right. Anybody else?
Good.
Any new business at all? I'll take a motion to adjourn and we'll see you all
See
tonight.
you later.
Move to adjourn. Off the
Alright.
class.
Actually, what time does it start
It's
tonight?
6:30 tonight, 6:30 to 7:30, maybe a little bit longer. I'm gonna get there at least by 6. I asked the two presenters to get there at 6. And hopefully we'll set everything up and be ready to go at 6:30
At the library, right?
at the library downstairs. Okay,
Ray, I can't make it because I'm down here, but are we gonna have an online presence?
no, we're not.
Maybe after Jeff.
It's going to be taped, Bill. It will be taped. The online presence, I think will hopefully get maybe next time or some point, the technology and having it done correctly and working is what I'm hearing is it's questionable.
Not there yet. Well,
Doing a hybrid,
don't give anybody my phone number.
you know
Tell them
what
that
you-
the tree warden is retiring.
are you?
Yes, I think I should. That would put even more pressure on the town because then they would be at odds to the law.
True.
Good point. Yeah. All right,
All right.
everybody.
Well, good luck tonight, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah.